Hey y'all, it's your girl. Long time no speak. Oh my gosh, long time no speak. This is my first vlog of 2025. And yeah, it's just a little check-in. I've been learning a lot about myself. I mean, that's a given. That's something that's gonna be continuous every time we check in. I learn something new about myself. But yes, today specifically, I just want to talk about the concept of evolve or repeat and the power to change your story at any moment. So let's rewind back to 2024. I want to say it was probably like mid 2024, like beginning. I began to like focus on my relationship with my dad and how that has impacted me as an individual. And I've talked about this before. I was in therapy briefly, and something about therapy too that I've been thinking about. I feel like I'm so emotionally intelligent and aware that therapy was like getting kind of agreements from somebody else, like on stuff that I already know, but it just felt better to talk to somebody else, like unbiased about it. So I just had to put that out there. But yes, I got into therapy and I just began to reflect a lot on just like myself and my relationships with others and all these things. And I got a phone call. Well, first I was having these dreams of a person. Like I was getting hugged from behind me, and I saw like the arms, and it had like the person had tattoos on their arms, and like I was crying or whatever in my dream. And then like the next day, I had another dream that my daddy was like in the hospital, and yeah, I was like, dang, because we like did not talk on a consistent basis. Like we talked every now and again, and most times my daddy would call me. It would be like asking about my little brother, and we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. But yes, like I had those dreams, and then my little brother called me and was like, our dad is in the hospital, like he's real sick, it's not looking good, da da da. So I'm like, dang. So I ended up talking to him, and he had to get his legs amputated. And my dad had been struggling with diabetes like for as long as I can remember. And that alone prompted me to be more like health conscious and aware of how I treat myself, how I things that I eat, how I feel, my mental state, all that. And yeah, like he struggled with diabetes for a really long time, and he got to the point he had to get his legs amputated, and that was like hard for me to like process. Part of me was just like detached from, because I'm like, I don't even have this like emotional connection with my father to like be hurt by this, because it's kind of like something that I knew in terms of his health state. But I had a lot of compassion for him as a human, but I was still like a little angry and sad as a daughter. And as time went on, I began to decide that, okay, one can't exist without the other. I can't have compassion as a human but be angry as a daughter. Like that's just, it's contradicting. So I'm like, okay, I understand that my father has been exactly who he was supposed to be for me in my life, and his presence or lack thereof had contributed heavily to who I am as an individual. And yeah, so fast forward after that, I began talking to one of my little sisters, and like we're building a relationship and all these things, because I hadn't seen them in a long time. Also, I forgot to mention I am the oldest of 7, And that right there is a little pressure, but I'm doing my best. So I'm the oldest of 7, and yeah, after all that happened with our dad, I began, like, I just felt called to build this relationship with my sisters, because I'm like, I have too many siblings for us to not be close knit, you know? Like, we already went through that with our dad. I don't want to go through this with y'all. So it was just like a timeline of things. Like, I began forming my relationship with my little sisters, and then I went to see them, and it was just like I learned a lot about my dad through them, because we all experienced him in different timelines, you know, like we all experienced different versions of him, you know, like my dad was like basically a kid when I was born. So it was like, dang, like, you know, it was just like real, it felt good to learn stuff about him, you know, that I didn't know. And the stuff that they were telling me about him, it was like, I always wondered, where did these things come from? Like, when I have these like inklings, or it's stuff that I'm interested in, or stuff that I know, I never, you know, knew the source of it, because I didn't learn this from like my mom and them. So come to find out, it was just, you know, this is literally like the way that I am. I'm an extension of my father, you know, in so many ways. And that was just so cool to me, just to be able to realize that and become aware of that. So I went to visit my little sisters, you know, we built our relationship, all that good stuff, cool. Then what else? Like, I think my dad had to go back to the hospital for something else. And yeah, he did not return from the facility that he was in. I talked to him a lot, like, before he passed, but I feel like he was preparing me for him passing. And like, in that process, it was a lot of closure, you know, like it was a lot of conversation just that made me feel better, as I've spent so much time feeling like I missed out on having a relationship with my daddy. Like, I feel like I missed out on the dream that was sold to me as a child. You know, like, people always talk about how important it is to have your dad and all those things. I just feel like I missed out on that. And like, while my dad was sick, he just got to telling me a lot of stuff that I didn't know about him. So I began to slowly but surely, like, accept that, yes, you have this title or this role as my father, but you are also human, and you have gone through things that I did not know. So, you know, it just increased my level of grace and compassion for others and myself, because, like, I just feel like my daddy was struggling silently for so long. It was a lot. It was a lot. And although his passing is unfortunate, I had to make a decision. Like, is this going to make you or break you? You know, like, is this going to make you or break you? And I decided to let it make me in the best ways. Like, a prayer of mine was for my dad to guide me and be all the things that I had expectations of him to be in the physical. He can do that spiritually. You know, he protect me and he guide me, and, you know, just be the best him. Like, I'm grateful that he does not have to live in suffering anymore. Like, I'm grateful that he can be at peace, you know, on another level, like, and probably a kind of peace that he has never felt in his life, you know, in his physical life. So it's been my prayer. Like, this, what I've been remaining focused on, instead of being like so hurt over his physical transition, because grief is a tricky thing, you know, like, how you handle it, like how you approach it, it literally makes or break you. And going back to when I said my dad used to always call me and ask me about my little brother, I didn't understand it then, but like the more I talk to my little sister and like, you know, I talk to my uncle, he like, you know, he just never had to worry about me. Like my dad even told me before, he was like, I know you good. Like I know you're good. And although it's like, yeah, you know I'm good, I feel like that just contributes to I feel like they contribute to me being so like headstrong and stern, because when I go through stuff, I need to separate, you know, like I need some time alone so I can process it. And like even now, since my dad has passed, it's been hard for me to even accept support, but I'm so grateful for it. Like it feels good to be supported, but it's like I've always wanted a certain kind of support. Like, you know, like to the world, I'm just so equipped and I'm just so aware and I can handle this and all that. And it's like, I just feel like at some point I have to just like not be so strong, you know, like at some point I have to just let myself fully feel things. Like I be feeling stuff, but it's like I'll try not to feel it fully. I don't know how to explain it. But it's just I'm doing my best, honestly. Like I'm really doing my best with processing this change, but I know that every change is necessary. Like change is necessary, but learning to embrace it for what it is it takes some softening up, you know. Like I can't be so hard, like I can't be so like I got this. And that's just been my approach with a lot of things for a long time. And I think, again, it kind of stems from my faith, the faith that I have. I just always have had this belief that everything works out exactly as it should, you know? Like, I can appreciate that belief of knowing that I'm equipped for things. And, yeah, like, seeing what my dad went through, it has motivated me on another level in terms of taking care of myself and not like, you know, not letting things be my what's the word? Not vice, but it's, how do I explain this? My dad's experience is fuel for me right now. It's fuel for me as a parent. It's fuel for me as an individual. It's fuel for me just to really embrace all that I am. Like, and I feel like the best way to honor my father is by being my best and actually speaking up and talking about things that he may have not had the courage to talk about. You know, like where he may not have had different outlets or, you know, like people to talk about certain things too. So I'm letting that be my motivation. Like I'm letting that make me and not break me, because I'm the oldest and I have to be that guidance. Like and I say have to, not like in a, you know, like standoffish way. Like I'm honored, honestly. Like I'm honored to have such beautiful siblings. Like I'm honored to allow my experiences, to share my experiences with them so they can make better choices and decisions than me. And just, you know, in my mind, I always look at it like once I get to this certain level, I'm sharing it with my siblings, like I'm sharing my resources and my knowledge. And it's not even a thing of getting to a certain place, but just right now, like to share my resources with my siblings because we are all connected. And yeah, like I have decided to change my story. I've decided to just no longer resonate with struggle. Like I've struggled been my thing since forever. I've struggled through so much stuff. Like I've watched the people that raised me struggle. Like I've watched so much struggle in my life that I don't resonate with it anymore. Like I just don't. That's not my story no more. It's not. And the only way that can be is if I truly live, believe, and embody that. Like I just don't have any space for struggle because I know what struggle does to people. Struggle literally drags you down, weighs you down. Struggle kills you, like, and that's just, no, I don't deserve that. I don't deserve to live a life of struggle anymore. I've did that long enough. Like I've witnessed it long enough, and it's not my thing. Like that's all I want for me is the best of the best in all aspects. Okay, and especially as a parent, like I have to take care of me so that I can take care of my child. Like that is my biggest motivation. And parenting is a job, literally. And it's a role. It's like an honor to be able to parent someone else. And I know that from how my parents raised me, they did the best with what they had. Like they did the best with what they knew from their level of experience and awareness. And they were fairly young, in my opinion. So for me now, like the tools that I have, the wisdom, the knowledge, the awareness, and all these things that I have, I can parent my child differently. Like my child deserves to experience me at my best. And yeah. And another thing that I've come to the realization of, the way to be the best parent is to have a lot of money, have a lot of money so you can share experiences with your child. Like my child has, and not even just money, also support, a village. My child has done so much more than I have as a child, and for that alone, I'm so grateful for his life. Like I'm just so grateful that he doesn't relive like my experiences as a child. And I ain't like I was just like had a horrible childhood, but it was like struggle. It was just struggle. And yeah, it's like I'm not repeating. I'm not repeating this shit. I'm not. Can't do it. I don't deserve that. My child does not deserve that. And yeah, I'm not repeating. I've seen enough. Like I've seen enough. And it takes a point of you saying, you know what, this is not it. Like this is not what God intended for. This is not what God intended for me. Like I've always known and had this feeling and belief that God wants the best for me. And with the awareness of knowing that I am a unique expression of God, I am an extension of God, I have to treat myself like the best. Like I treat myself like somebody I love. It's a lot of times like before I make a decision, I ask myself, what would somebody that loves themselves do? Like what would somebody that loves themselves do? And in dealing with my father's passing, I had already had a trip planned before my dad passed. But instead of me like just saying, oh, I'm not gonna go because I'm living life to the fullest for the ones that couldn't, okay? I'm living life. And I just feel like for me, it's just real important that I have the space and opportunity and support to fully be me, like just to fully, because I'm an adventurous person. I love adventure. I love just, I love a nice experience. I love a great experience, actually. And instead of me being like so down in the dumps and sad when my dad passed, I had to tell myself, tighten up, okay? Tighten up. You got this. You're okay. And yes, like my son told me the other night before we went to bed, we were saying our prayers, and he told me, he was like, Mom, I know you're mad about your dad passing. And it threw me out because I'm like, oh my gosh. But he was right. I was mad. I was mad because I just felt like, I don't know, I think I was just thinking about what could have been, like I was just thinking about, could I have gotten to a certain point where I'm open to building a relationship with my dad? Because part of me felt like it was just too far gone. Because I'm thinking, like, I done spent the majority, like, I done spent all my life, or not all, but most of my life without my daddy present. So it's like, okay, dang, we can't even do that, like, we can't do that. But it's like a constant, for me, I'm constantly having to shift my perspective when it comes to things like this. Like, instead of me focusing on that one thought or saying, oh, what could have been, I had to shift my focus to, okay, what could you do from here? Like, if we all collectively didn't have the best relationship with our father, okay, how can I be the best big sister to my younger siblings? Like, how can I be the best support to them? How can I show up for them? And I'm committed to that. Like, I'm committed to doing whatever I can in terms of just being present in their lives, without draining myself, like without letting it deplete me and what I got going on. Like, it's a constant thing of perspective shifts. Like, and I always talk about alchemy. For me, that's alchemy, turning an unfavorable situation into a more beautiful situation. Like, not just dwelling on the thing, it's like, okay, how can I make the best of this? That's how I feel when it comes to stuff. Like, how can I make this better? How can I make this to my benefit instead of my demise, or like my sadness and things? And granted, I'm human. I'm gonna feel sad. Like, I'm gonna feel all these emotions, and yeah, it's been real teachy around here. It's been real teachy, and is that even a word? But yeah, I'm grateful. I'm so very grateful just to live this. I'm grateful to be this. I'm just grateful, honestly. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful for the ability to, like, receive this awareness that has been placed on me. And granted, I learned it through struggle, but I also know that I don't have to struggle to live life. That's just not the life for me. Seriously, it's not the life for me. So yes, I have decided to live the most beautiful life in the most beautiful ways possible. And yes, whew. That's my update. I am fully putting my alchemist shoes on and embracing this new experience with love and grace and compassion and faith, in knowing that it can only get better. That's it right there. It can only get better. And when it comes to evolving or repeating, I'm evolving in the best ways. Yes, I've changed my story to only get better. So, yes, I just had to share that with y'all. Well, I'm grateful to share that with y'all. And also, like, just get that off of me. I feel so good. I've been putting off recording for so long because it's like I always try to, like, I want it to look a certain kind of way, or I want to be looking a certain kind of way. And it's like, girl, just do it. Literally, just do it. And here I am. Here I am. So I'm sending y'all love, baby. Do your best. And yeah, it can only get better. But you have to decide that, okay? You choose. It's all up to you. This is your life. This is your story. You got the pen, okay? You got the pen, so make it a beautiful life, okay? Make it the most beautiful life. You deserve it, all right? All love.